Hmm.
Okay, so we're recording now. Let's kind of paint the background a little bit, and then we'll get into this. So obviously we have your account on the screen here. Let's see, what do I want to? See, how do I want to cover this? Okay, let's go over this, right? So obviously a fighter, right? Still considered a younger, medium-ish younger account with 5.5 bill KP. I think like most players would be happy with this kind of output. And your kingdom 2387. Some people will
Uh,
say,
that's a wrong one, I think.
that's what?
That's a wrong kingdom.
That's a wrong kingdom?
Yeah.
Okay. Wait, what is it then? Never mind. We'll skip that.
I was playing last 4 KVKs in 1694, but I migrated like 1 or 2 weeks ago.
Okay, and then you just migrated. Okay, so the screenshot you sent me
Yeah.
was in is in. Okay, so what kingdom are you in now?
Now in 2359.
2359.
It's pretty much same
2359.
lowest
Okay.
2359.
2359.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
BCG.
Okay. That is not a, that's a high AC kingdom,
Yeah.
right?
But like I got it like 1 or 2 weeks ago with like
Okay.
all my stats are basically from
Okay. Okay.
1695.
So this is actually a much higher seed, right? So when I pulled that up before, I thought it was like about like what 16 bill cap power and then like about 250 bill KP. This is like almost a trillion KP, 17 bill cap power. This is a high AC. It's actually a really solid kingdom. Okay, cool. All right. So we'll skip over that one. Here is your commanders, right? So all of these are max. Boudica is 5551, and then Joan is 5535. All the other ones are max, right? So 5 marches, 2 infantry, I guess 2 calves. We'll count that 2 calves and then 1 archer. So we'll cover it because you're asking about a 6 march. So we'll cover that. You typed a lot, right? So I'll kind of summarize it down because you have some like general questions, like areas you wanted. So one is just upping your KP, right? So, and you could jump in if I'm not capturing this correctly. So basically you feel like you kind of hit a plateau, right? Like you're hitting about like 1 to 1.2 bill KP, like the last few KBKs, and like you're trying different things, but it doesn't seem like you're actually upping that output more, right? And
Yeah, I mean like last 3 KVKs I perform kinda same, like 1.1 or
yeah,
1.2 to below KP for
yeah.
KVK, but at same time like in those 3 KVKs I added to like 1.5 March.
Okay, and then
And progressed about a lot in equip as well, and
okay,
I still perform same.
okay, so everything's improving, but you're not getting more KP. Okay.
Yeah.
Uh, okay, and then so I specifically put upping KP per hour as opposed to just KP per KBK because there's a difference, and we'll kind of cover that, right? So a question you had was whether it's how you're spending, right? Like, should you invest more in crystal tech? What's going on with that, or is there some other kind of blind spot that you don't notice? All right, so that's like kind of like the first question that you had. Second one was with where your account's at right now, where you should focus your gem spending, right? Also, you specifically asked, like, if you did build a 6 March, like, what would be like the ideal setup for the accessories? And then finally, like after this, you wanted me to take a look at your armaments, and let's go back to your armaments. So here are your armaments right here, but you kind of wanted me to look at it, maybe like where to use the transmutation crystal. So that's when you use 10 rolls and you're out. You could actually reset that. And then is that the main one, or the armaments? Is there anything else?
I also wanted to ask about those special inscriptions that you can buy from the shop,
Yeah. Okay,
like
perfect.
balance and invincible, but I think
Okay.
that's for later.
Okay, perfect. Okay. So those are the general questions, right? So then I went a little bit more specific because essentially what I did was I took the specific questions you had and I made it more like a big picture. But as we're covering these specific questions, hopefully it'll answer the general questions. And obviously, you have anything else, you could ask about it. All right. So let's actually go over the first one. So this is your spending, right? Off season, you think about $70 a month.
Yeah.
Okay,
Oh,
and
like
then
it depends just on recharges. Like if there isn't any recharge, I don't spend at all.
okay, but
Like
like
I guess there is always at least one for per month.
okay, and then during KVK, in addition to what you spend in the off season, you're spending for pop up and crystal. Actually, wait, yeah, because the pop up and the crystal supply itself will be about 115. So you're still doing the New World, Lucerne, and all that stuff. So it'll actually come out to
Oh
like
yeah.
maybe close to 200, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then what you're asking is how much will it change your spending if you actually max one or even two or three Mountain Warfare?
Yeah, I mean, not the spending, but like how much it could improve my performance in the KVK.
Okay.
Like
So
if it's really a big thing to max first like one or three
okay.
more.
So first of all, it's you can actually do really well with like not even spending in Crystal Tech, which is crazy to say, right? Because and the best example of that is Socks, right? So Socks, he's not in 68 right now. He'll come back after he finishes his next KBK, but he's a free to play, right? We're like 12 bill KP, and obviously as a free to play, you can't spend. And the crazy thing with him is he also doesn't chain, right? So he'll use his AP to kill some barbs and stuff, but he's obviously not maxing it. And I don't know how much KP you got this KVK. My sense is he got like probably about 2 bill, but the KVK before he got 2 bill, and the one before that he got like 2.5 bill, right? So like for most people, that's like a pretty high output, even if you're a spender. And he's doing it as a free to play with 4 marches. Okay, so
Yeah, actually, he is one of the players that got me thinking about it. Like,
okay,
he performed so bad with like even with pop-ups that should be
yeah,
a slight advantage. Even
yeah,
when my account is pretty much online a
yeah.
lot.
Now having said all of that, right? You want to think like for Mountain Warfare, right? If you buy the first Mountain Warfare, are you going to get a bigger advantage, or are you going to buy like, or is it when you buy a Mountain Warfare right for Kingsland Open? The answer would actually be the early, like the if there's 3 Mountain Warfares that you could buy, the first one will you'll actually get the biggest advantage over the rest of the people, right? Because as you get further and further along the KBK, there's just like more ways to get crystals, right? Like per hour, like the amount of, as you're building up on the Bastion quest and everything, like you're just getting more and more crystal per day as the KBK goes on. So if you are going to buy a Mountain Warfare, like you actually plan on doing it, right? Like the biggest bang for the buck is the first one, right? Now I'm a big believer in Mountain Warfare, or not Mountain Warfare, Crystal Tech, spending in Crystal Tech. One of the biggest differences you can make as far as performance in a KBK, having said that, you don't actually need it to go really far, but if you do spend on it, it's like a huge advantage that you have over other people that aren't doing it, which makes the people that don't do it like all the more impressive. That makes sense. So like on one hand, I'm saying you don't have to buy it, but I'm also saying like that would make a huge difference, especially if you buy the first one.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now how much of advantage is it worth? So how do I want to quantify this? I would say like if I bought it versus if I didn't buy it, but I did everything else. Uh, Especially in that like first, like, because you could essentially buy it when Pass 4 opens, and then you zone 5, right? Like the first zone where you could potentially fight someone. I would say like if I had to take a guess, like how much better I would do, it's probably about 10 or 15% better, right? And then that's the first zone, and then as the KBK goes on, that advantage starts diminishing a little bit, just because there's so many more ways for, like the Kal Karak, all this other stuff, the fashion quests, that the crystal tech you generate per day. So like, is that worth 180 bucks for you? That's for you to decide. But like, does it make a difference? Like for sure it makes a difference, especially the first one. Um, but it's like people can get away with not doing it, right? There's people that have done pretty well, my kid that I've seen that are either low spend, free to play, and they still actually do pretty well. So like you could still actually get a lot of output. But for me personally, my feeling, without, this is not like a mathematical thing, right? Because it's hard to calculate that. My feeling is it's probably 10 to 15% better if I buy it versus if I don't in that first zone.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Let's go
Mm-hmm.
to the next one. Oops. Wait. Oh, here we go. Okay. So the second one, the question I had is, if you had a self-scout, what do you think is holding you back in KP? Is there something that is confusing or overwhelming, or just something where you feel like it's not very clear? And you mentioned this, right? You felt like even though your equipment, your commanders, and everything got better, your output in the KVK is very similar. So because like every KVK is all right around the same range, even though everything's getting better, like it's like, is your account actually getting better or not? Like why is that the case, right? So before I answer, because I like it's hard to tell exactly, right? But why do you think that's the case? Before we kind of dig into this.
I think it's really because of the KVK we get. It might be like big factor. Like I cannot do much about it. Like if I talk about my last 3 KVKs,
Yeah.
like 3 KVKs back when I played really like almost, I don't know, like 16 18 hours a day.
Yeah.
I did like 1.2 bill KP.
Right.
2 KVKs back I did like 900 mil KP.
Yeah.
It was a bit worse because of my irregular timing.
Mm-hmm.
But last KVK I did like 1.3 bill KP, and it was kinda same KVK as the one when I did the 1.2, but it's
Okay.
still like 3 KVKs difference.
Okay.
When my account already progressed, I added like one more march.
Okay, cool. And then here, let's go over this, and then we'll kind of cover it. And so basically, you think if you had to take a guess, you think it's probably just the nature of the KVK you're in, right? But you're not
I think
really
it's
sure.
the biggest factor.
Okay.
I mean, either the KVK or just. I mean, like I know resources are not limiting me at all.
Yeah.
Maybe speed ups a bit, but I still like end up with like at least 20 or 50 days at the end of KVK. So
Okay. Okay. So let's actually go over this, and then we'll kind of go back over everything. Right. So you said you thought maybe you just need to play more hours, which is actually true, right? Because if you think about it in a sense, if you're getting fighting, right, the more hours you can actually get open field fighting, like you're just gonna get more KP. So like if there's more fighting and you're missing out on it, you get more fighting, you'll get more KP. That makes sense. Then I was thinking it might just be because of my weaker marches, but at the same time, I saw a few accounts with way worse equipment commanders performing 2x my KP in a single KVK. Now, when you're talking about like way worse equipment and commanders, are they in your kingdom or is it like in another kingdom? But they're doing more KP.
Like most of those were like high AC sort of.
Okay, so they weren't in your kingdom.
Maybe Imperium. No, yeah.
Okay, cool. Okay, and then you already mentioned this. You always nearly zero your speed ups every KVK, even when you don't chase KP at all. You follow markers. You could do around 1.2 to 1.3 in a KVK for around 400 to 450 days of speeds use. So actually relate to this. This last KVK, I think I did like 2.1, and I used about 700 days. So it's actually about this pace, right? Speeds used versus like KP. Okay, so having said all this, let's actually go back to this general question I had. Right, the first one I actually specifically put up in your KP per hour. Okay, so the reason why KP per hour I think is a better metric or more accurate metric of your output is because, like you mentioned, every KVK is different. Seeding, you get different kinds of fighting, right? Like if you think there's 3 main areas that dictate how well you do, right? One is your account, right? Your commanders, your equipment, your tech, your armaments. That just essentially like how strong your account is, right? The second part would be like your skill, like how good are you at actually controlling your marches, hotkeying, targeting, like actually moving them around in a way where you can take those commanders and get KP. The third one is more out of your control, right? It's more the KVK you get, and a lot of that has to do with your seeding, the matchmaking, the diplo, and then that determines how many hours of open fielding you get, right? Now, in general, the kind of KVK where you can get the most KP is actually when it's competitive and your side is slightly losing. Okay. The reason why is because when your side is slightly losing, most of the fight is on your territory. A big factor that I think most people, at least maybe unconsciously know, but no one really talks about, is actually the where your city is relative to the fight, right? So if you get a frontline spot versus if you get a spot that's like a 3-minute march away, over an hour, that makes a huge difference in the KP per hour, right? So if you're losing, right, the fight is typically going to be on your territory, which means like your city will actually be closer to the open fielding fight. The other one is, when you're on your territory, you get a lot of different advantages. And then also like when you refresh and you march over there, it's going to be a lot faster, right? So without even changing anything else, if your side is slightly losing versus your side is slightly winning, the slightly losing side in general is going to get more KP. Whereas when you're winning, right, you have to go on the enemy's territory. A lot of time you're getting cheeseburgered. People can like pop in and out of their city. It's just actually harder, right? And the reason why I say you want it to be competitive is because if it's very one-sided, like one versus like whether you're winning or losing, there's not going to be much open fielding anyways when it's too one-sided. Okay, now having said all of that, if you just move to a high AC kingdom, high AC kingdoms are where you're definitely going to get a lot more KP in general than a low AC kingdom, just because the higher the seeding, the more players there are with more resources and speeds to actually continue open fielding, right? So that's like one of the challenges in getting a lot of KP in, say like a D seed or something, is one, there's still good players there, right? But there's not enough players that can actually fight for a long time. So it's almost like if you're not there for like 4 hours after pass opening, like KP's done, right? And then even if you are, sometimes if a kingdom is very lean, they essentially only have like 30 super strong active players. They drop down to a DC, they'll just crush the opponent and it's over, and there's not a lot of fighting there. Right, so without seeing how you actually control your marches, and I know what your equipment and your armament is, which is more than good enough, right? I would say that maybe like the commanders, there's just a couple things that could be upgraded, but it's still more than good enough. If all of this is getting better and you're not progressing, it's most likely going to be actually the type of fighting you get, as opposed to just something you're doing or not doing. Okay. Anything that doesn't make sense?
No.
All right, but like some little things that would help, all right, that, and I don't think anybody's really mentioned, is getting a really good spot relative to the fighting is really important. Like for me now, I notice I'm probably getting almost like twice as much kills per hour when I have a really good spot versus when I didn't get a good spot. I have to be really far away, right? And a lot of times you'll see people bubble on the front line where they'll just kind of hog a spot and not leave to get more KP. But a lot of times when people are doing that, they're actually doing it at the expense of their kingdom, because now you're taking up a spot where someone who's actually on can march there a lot faster, just so you have a good spot for KP. So getting a lot of KP that way isn't necessarily conducive to helping your kingdom do better, right? And then another thing to think about too is a lot of times people will focus on the trades, right? Oh, I'm doing 2-to-1, 3-to-1. You could look this up yourself. Go look up any of these like top players and then look at their like autark, right? So their best kills versus their heals. The ratio usually isn't that great, right? Like it's more often than not even 2-to-1. It's actually, maybe sometimes like 1.5 to 1, 1.6 to 1. And these are really, really top high-end players, right? So if that's what their ratio is at the very, very high end, what that's telling you is they're not necessarily trading really, really well, which means that the way they're playing is they're actually a lot more aggressive, right? They're maybe not suiciding, but they're charging in, killing their troops, resetting, coming back again really fast over and over and over again. And they are trading positive from doing that because their equipment and armaments are so good, but they're not playing for trades. They're actually playing for a lot of KP and output. Okay, so you're in Europe, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so do you understand like American football at all or no?
No, not at all.
Okay, so well, the idea with American football is there's a quarterback that throws the ball, right? And there's a completion percentage, right? So if you complete 80%, that means 80% of the time you throw a pass, someone catches it. When the percentage is really high, so like above 80%, you would think the higher the better. But usually when it's higher, that means the person isn't taking any risks. they're almost like playing in a way just to pad their percentage, and they're actually not very effective in helping win the game. Okay, so one thing to think about for you is like when you're fighting, are you focused a lot on the trades? So let's actually take a look here. Right, so this actually is pretty good, this ratio, right? It's like less than 2 to 1. And then like, are you actually like cycling through really fast, right? This is without even looking at how you're playing when your marches. It's just like basic setup, right? Like if you're close and then you're actually not sitting back to get really good trades, right? Your KP is going to go up a lot. And
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, well, to be honest, I don't really care about trades at all.
Okay, good.
Just because
Yeah.
of the fact that we don't have that many big fights.
Yeah, so you just
Probably,
want to get
Imperium King.
yeah, you just want to get fights when you can.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I just want to use like all
Yeah.
my speed ups and resources when I can.
Yeah.
Because I know like Kingsland never lasts longer than
Yeah.
2 days for us.
And then what was I gonna say? Oh, the other one too is like the VIP, right? So honestly, I think your VIP is a function of like the kingdom you're in. So I think you said like the first 10 KVKs you're in a very, very low spend kingdom. So even though you're like in the low misspend range, like I told you, like when I first saw like the account age and like what you have, I thought you would be like VIP 17, probably even like halfway or closer to 18, right? But for you, you're like a little more than halfway to 17.
Well, when I got to my to like a first a bit higher seat, like 1694 was a low A seat when I got here 4 KVKs ago.
Mhm.
I was still VIP 15.
Yeah.
Because I was playing a lot of CD seat KVKs and I migrated back to KVK 2 twice.
Yeah.
Just I don't even know why, but I did it.
No, I get it. It's all right.
So like in 4 KVKs I got just from gold chests around I think 400 or 500k.
Yeah. So like it looks like the kingdom you're in now, right? The one you just migrated to. What is this? Did I close it?
2359.
Yeah, 2359. That looks like a very solid, like high AC kingdom. They actually not probably, they have to worry about the Imperium burden. And if I had to, just based on like that profile without knowing too much about them, that's like a top 30 to top 35 kingdom in the game. Right. So just there, you would assume there's more spenders. Your VIP should go up a lot. VIP 17, like you already know, you get a 5% all damage for every march. Right. So it's not exactly like this mathematically, right? But just being VIP 17, you can expect 5% more KP than what you've been getting in every KVK. I would actually be surprised if you haven't fought a KVK here yet, right?
No. I got here like 2 weeks ago, but our first KK is starting in like 2 weeks, I think.
Yeah, so I would actually be surprised, like if you're doing it, if you're doing like 1 to 1.2 build KP in the last 3 KVKs at a much lower seed, that like unless you get really unlucky with matchmaking Diplo, which you get less like really one-sided KVK too. KVKs also as the seeding gets higher, like your KB doesn't naturally go up. So I tend to think it's probably more of a function of your kingdom. And there's obviously little things you can do, like I mentioned, to like to get more output. But like I think the amount of KP you were doing at the level you were playing at is actually really good. You know, because I made a video recently. I actually compared this, right? Like if I'm playing in like a local gym basketball league versus I was playing in the Chinese basketball league versus the NBA, right? And I'm averaging 25 points per game in the 3 different leagues. It's 25 points per game, but the nature of it's very different. All right, and at a higher seed, once your equipment and commanders is like good enough, which yours is, you're naturally just going to get more KP, just because the fighting lasts a lot longer, and like people can sustain in the open field more. You get the most KP doing open fielding, not from like rally or garrison or like pass humping or like city popping, anything like that. It's when people have marches out on the field, right, and like murder ball, and and then you're constantly balling up and fighting over and over again. So hopefully you get to actually experience that in this KVK, because I and you said which kingdom were you at before this?
Before this one?
Yeah.
Before the one that I'm in now, or
Yeah.
where I played the KVK?
Right before the one you're in now, what are the last few, the kingdom you were in before where you got fighting?
Oh yeah, 1694.
1694 or 5?
Mm-hmm.
Four? Okay. Okay, so 1694. Actually, 1694 is probably actually a really strong beast seed in the way they're built. So a little lower KP. Go ahead.
When I got here 4 KVKs ago, we were like 16 bill power, I think, and
okay,
slowly dropping down. Now I think we are at like 14.
Okay.
14 bill.
Okay. So that was actually still a solid kingdom. So then I guess I'm not so sure. What made you decide to change kingdoms, if you don't mind saying?
I mean, probably the spenders and the thing that I got a bit bored with the game, losing KVKs. Like my account played I think around 14 or 15 KVKs.
Yeah.
And I won only like 2 out of those, and none of those were with Star.
Okay. Okay, and then
so I just felt like I wasn't progressing at all and got kind of bored with the game, and
right.
I told myself that I will try one more KVK in this new kingdom where I have few friends, and it's a bit better, I think.
Okay. Like how long are your?
See if I can do better.
How long were your Kinsland fights in 1694 on average?
Well, I think like 2 days.
2 days? Okay. Okay.
I can send you like last KVK ranking from our kingdom, just to compare it, like
yeah,
with my performance in.
Okay. Yeah, because did you already send it, or you haven't sent it yet before?
Wait, I'm looking at it. No, I don't think so.
Yeah, because like it. Without seeing how you play, I first of all I get the feeling you're actually play fine. I think it's just a function of your kingdom, and like the type of fighting you get, because if the power starts getting a lot lower, and I think you said they're dropping power, right? But like if the power is low and like the KP is high, you tend to get you get stuck fighting like BC kingdoms, and then when you fight BC kingdoms, it's usually like a lot one-sided. But it sounds like you haven't been winning, right? So
yeah. Like in this kingdom we won only one KVK.
Okay. And then did you feel like you were getting enough fighting, or?
I don't know. I think like each zone, like if I count 3 zones per KVK, we always had like 1.5, maybe 2 days of real fighting, and then it was like, I don't know, maybe like 10, 15, 20 players fighting from each camp.
Okay.
I send you in
DMs. Let me take a look. I mean, honestly, like my feeling is it's just a function of the kingdom you're in, the type of fighting you're getting. Okay, so you ended up somewhere between 10th and 15th.
Oh yeah, 13th.
13th. Okay. Can I pull this over? There we go. Okay.
I believe like everyone above me was VIP 17, 18, and did at least one bundle.
Okay.
For tech. Except like maybe 1 or 2 guys.
Okay. I would say because you have some other like spending, right? I would try the first Mountain Warfare bundle. Be more intentional with the TP spot you're getting if you can, and then honestly, I think you should notice big difference, and then especially when you hit VIP 17, you'll get a bigger boost. Because I don't think it's a problem your commanders or equipment. Let's go over this. By the way, if you're gonna run this, I would actually run ZL primary, Boudica secondary.
Yeah,
Zio
I actually ran it just because of Canyon.
for Canyon?
Yeah, just so I don't have to switch the gear. I usually have my gear on ZL.
Okay. So in KVK, are you running on ZL?
Yeah,
ZL
so
primary? Okay,
primary.
perfect. Okay, good. Yeah, it does significantly better when ZL primary. It gets into like, ZL's like Rage engine and all that stuff. And yeah, other than that, it looks pretty good. Like 1.2, 1.3 isn't bad. I think you're comparing it like you see someone else with worse equipment, but they're getting more KP, but it's in a different KVK. It's really hard to make that apple to apple comparison, right? Like kind of like the
Yeah, I mean, like if I talk about better KVKs or better kingdoms, I'm also losing probably the benefit of better DP spot in a boss
yeah.
kingdom, right?
Yeah, I mean, without actually like seeing what's going on, like I don't know, but it's just some of the possible like culprits, if you will. But for reference, this last KVK, right? I think I ended up with like 121 million kills. Before that, my highest was 47 mil. Like I did not get, I'm not like almost three times better of a player in one KVK. It's literally just the kingdom I'm in and the KVK I'm getting to fight in. And that makes a huge difference. And I always try to tell people this, like especially younger promising accounts, right? Like if you have aspirations of like really like getting into like develop your account and stuff, you have to at least go to a high AC kingdom, or else the fighting is just too inconsistent. And when you're waiting like 2 months sometimes just to be able to get into KVK, like, and then you get like say like 2 days of fighting and it's over like total, it's painful, So I think this new kingdom you're in should make a huge difference for that, right? Let's actually go to gem spending. Okay, I think you just asked it, but that's not the specific question. So, okay, so gem spending. So for you right now, you said you had like 11. How many gold heads? Let's see.
1150.
1150. Okay, you have 1150 gold heads, right? So that means you're pretty much caught up on commanders, if you wanted to, right? But you're just kind of saving it, right? So we'll actually go over this, and then we'll go over where to spend your gems, in my opinion. So you have 1150 gold heads. You're wondering if you should go for a 6 march, or is it like maybe you need to shore up some of the stuff that's going on over here? Okay, so based on what's going on here with this, do you right now, are you buying dailies, or are you okay with buying dailies or no?
No, I don't buy at all.
Okay, so if that's the case,
I mean, I do just like 2 or 3 days if I need for a recharge, but that's almost nothing.
Yeah, so if that's the case, if I was gonna make a recommendation for this, I think it's worth it to invest in William Wallace to pair him with Luce. And it's hard to say because Luce Alex is my favorite march in the game right now. And I almost
that's one of the things that
Yeah.
I was curious about the most, because LC with Alex was the best performing march in my two.
Yeah, it's disgusting.
last
And the people will like hate on it that haven't used it and then used it. They're like, I don't understand, it's Alex. But it's doing so much more damage than every other march. And it's just like fun to use. People can't cheeseburger it. It has a crazy debuff. It's awesome, right? So like honestly, in my perfect world, the new commander actually paired really, really well with Scipio, and then I could have just replaced Kuang, but that's a different story. All right, so for this, really the biggest weakness for you is one, the secondary commander for Hua, right? So like it seems like you would need another Cav March. And then the second most obvious one is you want to replace Boudica, right? Now, having said all of that, I think the William Wallace pairing with Luce will be like 20%, maybe even a little bit more than Luce Alex, where it's almost like, yes, there's all this other stuff that's really good, but when you can have a top end in March, I think for most people it's worth it, unless like they're so gold head starved, which you're not, right? So I think William Wallace will come out July 29th, so you have 12 days, right? Where the next wheel that comes out. and then you could kind of see how other people deal with them before you decide to invest in him. But if it was me, I had 1100 something gold heads. 1150, right? Am I getting the number wrong? You said 1150? If it was me,
Yeah.
I would invest. If I'm looking at this, I would invest in William Wallace. And unfortunately, you'll either have to bench Alex or Guan, right? And then I would actually, for my next invest, wait until the new Archer Commander comes out to see where I want to go with it. If the new Archer Commander isn't that good, then I would go Herman. If the new Archer Commander is really good, then I would just invest in the new Archer Commander. Hopefully, this new Archer Commander has March speed, so if you pair the new Archer Commander with ZL, it's like at least fast enough to invest in, right? And then like for now, like Huo with YSG behind is fine. You know, it's you don't feel like it did that well.
I mean, like, as far as no one targets it, it did do pretty well. But it's a really squishy. At least last KVK it was. Like when someone targeted it, it's gone in like 2 seconds, 3 seconds, even in smaller fights.
Yeah, so like another way to like try it then is Nevsky is way more tanky, right? So you could also do like Nevsky YSG, which would be like disgusting skill damage increase, and then like Huo with Joan. I tend to like Huo Joan behind Nevsky more, but if you run Nevsky with YSG behind it, it'll definitely be a lot more survivable. Okay.
I used to try also Mehmet instead of YSG, but I feel like it was like worse kills and a bit more tankiness.
Wait, say that last part
So
again.
it was kind of same.
You tried what?
Like I tried Mehmet with Wu as well.
Oh, McMahon.
But yeah, but it was kind of same as YSG. Like YSG did more damage, but died or was more squishier.
Yeah.
And Mehmet was more tankier.
Yeah.
Less damage.
If it was like a stratagems KVK, obviously that march would do better because then like I don't know if you have the museum on YSG, but then obviously you get more defense and everything.
I have double relic on both.
Yeah, but like I would actually try Nevsky YSG and then Hua Joan just for like a little bit more balance of the two. And then for this last stratagems KVK, when I was able to use the artifact, actually my best performing march, cap march, I tried a bunch of different stuff, was actually Joan primary with YSG secondary. Like that march was doing so much damage, and I didn't have a problem with it not being tanky. I don't know why. Okay, but maybe just because like when like the archer defense converts to cab defense, it makes a huge difference. Okay, but like unless I'm somehow like completely wrong with this, where William Wallace flops, then I actually think William Wallace, and then you wait to see what the new archer is before you make a decision. Okay. As far as like 5 or 6 marches, honestly, at your spend level, I think you should stay with 5 marches, because if you don't like, even if you do the mountain warfare, the crystal pop-ups, to be able to unlock the 6 march early enough, you have to sacrifice a lot of other stuff. Whereas I think like if you stick with 5 marches, you can make the 5 a lot better overall. Never mind, you're going to be more like efficient with resources and speeds. But I think it'll be better for your account with how much you're looking to spend. Okay, so I don't think you should do 6 marches, especially when you're still like, you're kind of trying to catch up with commanders, even though you're mostly caught up and then at your spend level. Having to go for a 6 march and then you have to focus on the equipment there, and then get the commanders there, and then maybe like do like a new armament set. Like I don't think you're far enough ahead on everything where like that's not going to set you back too much. So I think given everything, I would actually recommend 5 marches. And and trust me, I've been accused of telling people to get too many marches. right? Like they're like, oh, you're like no, like I actually think you would be better off doing 5 marches.
Mhm.
Okay. Now as far as your gems, okay, uh, you're far enough now in the KVK, I mean, in your account where I think none of your gems should go towards commanders anymore. You know, because like you're naturally generating a certain amount of gold heads a month. If you don't try to backwards invest, eventually you'll actually catch up and get ahead. And like for this, right, maybe you have to wait a little bit longer to get a new cav. But by the time you actually get back to say like the cav, or maybe even like a leadership secondary or something that could be good as a secondary to the cav, you'll actually be healthy in a healthy place to get ahead on the gold heads. Whereas if you start trying to go backwards invest into like William or Belisarius Prime or something like that, right? Like it's not even so much that William's old, it's that by the time you actually get enough gold heads to say max William, you're literally be coming up on the potential for the new cab to come out. And then it's like, oh well, I just finished William and now there's this new cab that's much better, and you're kind of stuck like trying to play catch up, right? So you never want to, unless you have the spend to really get far ahead, you don't want to backwards invest, because that's like one of the ways to really set your account back.
Mhm.
Okay. Now, so having said that, if you're not investing your gems in commanders, I don't know if your bottleneck is blueprints or materials, like for equipment. Which one do you think it is?
I mean, until now I was just maxing every egg event and doing 7k gems on MTG
Yeah.
and just 10 on 11 spinning wheels, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah. So I'm telling you, like, don't spin the wheels anymore. And just don't backwards invest so you can kind of get ahead. But like, do you, when I say your bottleneck, are you getting stuck not having enough material, or are you getting stuck not having enough blueprints?
I think I do pretty well with blueprints. I think I have like 4 infantry.
Okay, so you have a lot of,
The,
okay, so you have a lot of
yeah, yeah.
blueprints, and you don't have enough material to either awaken
Oh
or
yeah.
upgrade it,
Oh
right?
yeah, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Like
So
I just finished my 40 legendary piece last week. So
oh, perfect. Yeah. So the egg event is really good value, right? Everyone says that, and like everyone loves the egg event. The egg event is also more of a blueprint event than a material event, right? So the okay, yeah, you have a lot. Okay. So the two main events that come around every 2 weeks, right, and it alternates, is the Daruks or the Esmeralda's Prayer. Those are almost all material. They're kind of expensive because like if you want to max, I think the Esmeraldas, I want to say it's like around 80, maybe like 80 something thousand gems, and it's the same thing for the Daruks. But like the standard ones that come around, that's where you could get the most mats. Now, what's interesting is if you just like, well, let's see, actually, I just forgot your VIP 16. Now, you should still be able to get the epic and the blue chest of VIP 16, right? Like the value wise, I think you should be spending your gems on that every Sunday at reset. Okay, and then from there, I would actually prioritize Esmeralda's Prayer. I like that a little bit more than Daruk's. You know, you don't have to go all the way max, but actually like hit like a tier where you think the value is pretty good. I think off the top of my head, I want to say the best value for the Esmeralda's Prayer is either to get to 10 or like 40, I think. There's people that made videos about it, right? And like actually showing the math. So you could look that up. But those are kind of like micro optimizations. But like it's because if you keep going the egg, right, what you're doing is you're just accumulating a lot of blueprints, but really your bottleneck is materials. And until you get to a point where like your actually all your accessories are done, that's actually kind of cool. Then like blueprints are really good once the bottleneck's blueprints, right? But if you're already kind of ahead on blueprints and your bottleneck's material, it doesn't make a lot of sense to just keep doing the egg where you're just going to get further ahead in blueprints. You have all these blueprints, but then like you just don't have enough material. So it's almost like if you start shifting towards events where you're doing more materials, right? Like you can almost like start kind of catching up there. Okay, and then there's more like the one-off events where like the Esmeralda's Wheel that came out maybe like 2 months ago. That was like 20,000 gems, and I think you spend like 20
Oh
bucks
yeah,
or
yeah.
something like that, and you got like 30 legendary mats. Like it was like by
Oh yeah,
far.
yeah. I maxed that one.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah. Like that's like for if you are looking to spend on like something, like that's like an instant max, right? That was like by far.
but
Yeah.
this one was a new one, right? I believe it was before with gold heads in the instead
Yeah,
of
yeah, yeah. There was a new
material.
one, and it was like, wait, is this real? Like, why is this like so much better than all the other
Oh
material
yeah,
events? Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Um, Now you did ask about six. If you were ever to craft a 6 March, and I would actually recommend if you're either way further ahead in gold heads, where okay, now I just have gold heads saved up, where I can actually just move there, right? You mentioned archer, like I do think in general, like the most flexible is just to do 222, right? So if you went to 6 March right now, and you did archer, right? Then you already kind of have the commanders there. Like you probably do want a second archer march. Now, if you look right here on the screen, right, you see my mouse?
Oh yes.
Okay. So right now you have one dagger. So if you were crafting a 6 March without even knowing exactly what it is, I would recommend a ring and then a dagger. The reason why is because the dagger, they stack, right? Which is why you actually don't want to crit the dagger. Because if you crit a dagger and then you have a dagger that's uncrit, the two debuffs don't stack. Right now, when they stack, right, if you have one, the chances of actually getting the max stack, which is 3, I think it's at 5% health each, off the top of my head. Like the statistically, it's unlikely that you're gonna be able to keep the max stack on the target that well, right? But if you have 2 daggers, basically every time you hit a target, or every round, just assuming both daggers are hitting the same target, you have a 51% chance to add a stack. Or if you think about it another way, because you have 3 seconds every time until that stack could potentially drop off, the chances of you adding a stack in 3 turns is going to be about like 89%, right? So that's pretty high, right? So if you have 2 daggers, in my opinion, that's probably the best combination to run the dagger and actually get that debuff, right? And then if you end up getting a 15% health debuff, my sense is essentially, depending on the troop type and their equipment and armament, you're essentially making that troop take somewhere between like 6 to 8% all damage. Okay, so it's really, really good. It's actually very, very underrated. Like Wick Gaming is someone that, I don't know if you were around when he was still making videos. Oh, were you paying attention? Right, but he was, his favorite accessory was a dagger, partly because of that reason, right? And like now, if you hear content creators, everyone's talking about a ring or a horn. I think the horn's actually kind of overrated. I think rage in general has been largely overrated, just because of the rage cap and everything. Like that's a whole different story. I think
that's also one thing that I wanted to ask before I forget it. That before I move to awakening or refining, I still can make a 5th horn that is guaranteed crit if it's worth it. If I get like before I start refining or awakening to make basically my 11 accessory just for the guaranteed crit.
So here's the here's the challenging part with this, right? Because one dagger is almost like it's better if you just didn't have a dagger, because one dagger it's just you can't really maximize its effectiveness. If you go 2 daggers, right, then you only have 1 more slot for your 6 March, right? So if you do a horn, it's a guaranteed crit. If you do 2 daggers, you actually get to maximize the effectiveness of the dagger, right? But then you can't craft a ring. If you gave me that choice,
I mean, I guess I can still do both if I make a 6 March at some point, but
yeah, but then you can't craft. Then you can't have a 6 ring. Yeah, if you gave me that choice, for you, I would actually, for me, if I was given that choice, right? Okay, you could do a ring, a horn, or a dagger, and you have to pick 2 out of the 3. The horn is guaranteed to be a crit. the ring, the dagger. Now you have two, so you can actually maximize its effectiveness. Or you could have a ring, which, in my opinion, is probably either the best or second best accessory. Depending on how you want to argue that with the dagger. I think the horn is slightly overrated. Or the rage generation is slightly overrated. Given all of that, I would actually probably do the dagger and the horn. So horn, so you could get a guaranteed crit. Ring, a dagger, so now you have two daggers, so you can actually maximize the usefulness of the dagger. Right? And
yeah,
then,
I mean, I was also thinking about it just because at one point I will start refining, so
yeah,
if it's maybe worth it to craft one instead of like refine it like 4 times or.
Yeah, the reason why is because it's really, really expensive to try to actually work on creating an accessory. It's just really expensive. From like, never mind the match you have to get and like the material. I mean the material and the blueprints and everything. It's just really expensive, right? And like once you have it crit, you'll notice when you get the awaken, like the bonuses you get from that, like it's actually a lot more. Like at your spend level, it's. I would actually go dagger, hoping that you don't crit the dagger, which is kind of weird, right? Because if you crit it, you almost have to then focus on critting your other dagger so they stack again, and then getting a horn if you were going to go for a 6 March. Right now, if you want right now, right, because you already have everything maxed, if you actually want to just do a 5th horn right now, and then you just don't use a dagger until you have a 6 March, that's also a way to go. It'll actually also be a big improvement, you know. But then it kind of sucks that you have a legendary accessory you're not going to use. Because I literally just told you I don't think you should go for a 6 March right now. At least not until you get a little further ahead in gold heads and stuff. Okay, but if you're going to do a 6 March, I would lean towards dagger and horn, but it's actually kind of a hard choice. Because I do think the ring is better than a normal horn by quite a bit. Okay. All right, let's go back to this. Okay, armaments, KP. Okay, right here. Now, in general, you kind of already mentioned it here. Okay. Well, let's actually go up to the equipment again. Okay, so in general, for the equipment, Awaken 2, and then you want to crit before you go further past Awaken 2. The big reason, like again, every piece of equipment is a little bit different because like a lot of times the Awaken 3 is where you get true capacity, which is like almost useless. It's almost negligible. Also, it gets a lot more expensive, right? Whereas once you get to Awaken 2, that is pretty cheap for like the amount of stats or like percentage gain you're getting. And then when you go and crit it, right, the iconic or Awaken 1 and the Awaken 2 also get another boost. Never mind the actual, just the stat of the equipment. So it becomes like more worth it that way. Now, the only time where you would go past that would be the boots, right? So for this one, if let's just say I was taking a look at your 5 marches here, I would actually prioritize getting the Dragon's Breath here to Awaken 4 at least. And then Awaken 4 at least, or Awaken 5, right? And then from there, I would actually do well, let's see. Okay, William Wallace comes out, you sub out Alex. I assume you would prefer to run Kuang with Scipio, right? Rather than Scipio with Alex.
Definitely.
Okay, and then you already have the March speed here. So I would actually get this to like Awaken 4 or Awaken 5 just to finish it. And then the first thing I would actually upgrade is getting my Ash of the Dawn. I forgot the name. Ash of the Dawn to Awaken 2. I think you actually get 2% health from Ash of the Dawn. It's like the out of everything, the best Awaken 2 you can get. Like for some weird reason, you get the best stat and you get more of it. Getting that to Awaken 2 than like any other piece of equipment. I can't remember all of them off the top of my head, but if you actually look through my videos, it's maybe like 5 or 6 videos back. I actually talked about the best things to get to Awaken 2, when to get to Awaken 2, which ones to do, which one's better value, which one's not. I would actually follow that. The only exception is the boots, especially for archers right now. For some weird reason, infantry actually doesn't feel like it's lacking in march speed. It's actually archer march, especially the march with Boudica or ZL, or if you have them together, then that's even more noticeable. Okay, but in general, awaken 2, then crit, then you go further, unless it's a boots. Okay.
So still probably I should make the boots first and then move to other pieces.
Yeah, this one, if it was me, I was running these 5 marches, right? And right now I'm like, okay, what is a project I want to focus on next, right? Naturally, as you go into KVK, you're going to get 5 iconics per KVK if you do what you're supposed to, right? And those, which is why I think it's better for kingdoms to queue KVK more often. But as far as, okay, then what are you going to work on here, right? I would actually focus on getting these boosts to at least 4.
Only for archers or infantry as well?
Infantry, Lucia, William Wallace, you won't really need it. Even the Guan skip with this 4-piece feels like it's fast enough. The one that clearly just feels really slow is Archer. So like
that's true.
Theoretically you should, but based on actual use, like if I was running this, I actually wouldn't prioritize getting this to I wouldn't prioritize getting the infantry boost to 4, just because there's not really like a glaring need for it, even though maybe in the future you'll need it. But by the time you get there in the future, you'll probably already have that there anyways, right? But the archer is the most noticeable one right now, like by far. Okay, any questions with this part?
No, not really.
Okay, cool. And then okay, we already answered that. We already understood the commanders. Okay, let's actually take a look at your armaments. So what did you specifically want me to look at? Is it like your bag, or just like looking at these armaments, what I think? Like what did you want to know specifically?
Oh yeah, 1 second. I think I can screen share.
Okay, yeah, screen share. Go ahead.
I mean,
Let me.
At first, maybe the shop where I can get either the smite damage or the skill damage.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
Inscription.
Okay, let's take a look at
that. Compared to the armaments that I have right now.
Yeah. Okay. So let's share your screen. I'm gonna stop sharing my screen.
Let me know if you see it. Is it loading?
I don't see it, but let me see. See if I'm doing something. Oh, here we go. Okay, I see it. Okay. My stream.
Okay. If you look at my current armaments,
yeah.
Which one should be probably the best to put on the special inscription once
for the next one?
I get it?
Okay, so let's open your armament. So go to commanders. And then
I guess Guan is the least that I can use it, since it's a wedge.
Yeah, that's like the most risky one. I definitely wouldn't touch that one. So let's actually click on the your banner, the bottom right, because that's what one you could buy, right? So let's click on that first. Okay. Can you click on the ZL one? I know it's a double. Let me take a look at it. I actually like Assertive a lot. I think that's like damage 2% or something.
Which one?
Yeah, Assertive. Yeah, 2% more damage. Okay. Go to the Hua one. Okay. And then let's go to go back to your Lucha, and then let me take a look at your Arch one, Arch banner. Unswerving. Actually, can you click on that real quick? Okay. So for me, I would actually buy Balanced, and then go back to the one on Hua.
For the Hua?
Well, yeah. So the biggest upgrade out of the 4 I looked at would actually be this one, right? So this one, 1.8% all damage is really, really good. It's like really good, because normally like your chances of pulling a stat is for banner, I think is like 13%, I want to say, or is it 17%? It's one of the two. Whereas all damage is you only have like a 3.4% chance of pulling it, right? And then the max is 2, you're getting 1.8. That's really good. And then this one doesn't have an inscription on it, right? So assertive is actually one of the better inscriptions. I would say the non special and rare ones, I would take robust, and then breaker, and then probably assertive.
Breaker is which one?
That's one where you get a damage defense debuff. Like if you go to the codex,
Oh yeah.
right? Like breaker is yeah, go to codex, and I think it's on the scroll.
Which one was it?
The scroll, the first one on the left. Yeah, and then the third one from the bottom on the right. Go. You see where calm is?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. So that one, assertive, and then well, actually they're a little bit different, right? But out of the three, the non-special and non-rare ones, those are my three favorite. So out of the one here, right, you literally have like a inscription that has 2 high in the high 2s, which is very solid, with a very, very good all damage, and it doesn't have an inscription at all on it, right? So you don't want to inscribe over the assertive, you don't want to inscribe over the double inscription you have on ZL, right? And then on the Scipio you have a rare, right? So like just the logical best upgrade is actually this one, and then from there you could actually put this one on your best cap march, and then what was on your best cap march before actually will go on your second best cap march. So I would actually start flipping it, right? Like if Nevsky Joan is going to be your best cap march, you put the balanced on there, and then you put that inscription on Nevsky Joan, and then you run the second best one on the Hoa YSG, which is assertive.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay, there was one more thing
Yeah.
about the inscriptions that I wanted to ask. Like, let's say I have two same armaments with like stats, but inscription is one 2% 2% damage boost, or a 2% less damage taken.
Okay.
Which should I prefer? Like more tankiness or damage?
Would you prefer 2% damage boost or just 2% damage increase?
Yeah.
Because boost is different than damage increase.
The damage taken or damage dealt, I mean. I believe I had some. I don't know which one was it.
Okay, yeah. Okay, so I've actually made a video a while back now. I showed the math on this, right? So if you're doing 1v1 and you have one side takes 2% more damage and one side deals, well, one side takes 2% less damage and one side deals 2% damage, the side that takes 2% less damage will end up winning the duel. Right? If you take out all the RNG, the side that takes less damage will end up winning the duel, just because as the fight goes on, your damage output scales with how much troops you have. So if you're taking less and less damage, right? Like the less damage you're taking, like as it actually in an indirect way actually will allow you to deal more damage in the long run. Right? So it's counterintuitive, because I almost feel like when you ask, oh, this way, but take 2% less normal damage, that's not as good. If it just straight up take 2% less all damage, that's a lot better. Okay. Yeah, I would deal 2% more normal. Wait, 2% less normal damage, and then versus deal 2% more normal damage.
No, I think I just mixed it up. I thought that there was one inscription with all damage.
Okay, yeah. If it's the same kind of damage, I would actually rather take 2% less damage. It's counterintuitive, but that actually ends up being better. And in my opinion, like in a murder ball in the field too, the side that's tankier in the long run will end up winning, provided the damage output is in a similar range.
Okay.
Was there any other questions with the inscriptions?
There was, I think. Oh yeah, this one. Both are. I mean, this one I haven't. Transmitted. I was thinking about those two inscriptions. Okay. Which one should be better to use?
Let me take a look at Guardians. That's the okay, and then what's resistant? And the hardy is like 3.5% health, right?
Oh yeah.
Wow. Okay.
I mean, the right one I can still transmute.
And then
Even with crystals, I think I can left one, but
the left one you can't. So
yeah, that's already 0 out of 10. But I can use the reset stone.
I wouldn't use it on that one, just because those two inscriptions aren't that good, even though it's still a double inscription. 2.5%. I wanna. Okay, I can't like I think the Hardy is better. I think like I think the Hardy is better than the double. If you were gonna re-roll that one, I would actually only lock the health, right? Because now if you get any one stat, like it's unlikely you're just gonna get 1.5%. You're probably gonna get higher, and that's where the transmutation crystal will come in and like make a big difference. But honestly, if you already have a double and like you have a health 3.2 on the Guardian resistant, I actually wouldn't re-roll this. Right, like it's just one where you just hold out. Maybe you'll get a rare inscription, or you end up getting a better double, or maybe God forbid you get like a special. But like you could get an upgrade there, but it's not even like it's like the inscription is so good, even though it is a good inscription, that it's kind of worth it to get like a at most like a medium upgrade. So like even though this one like yes it's an upgrade, I actually wouldn't re-roll that.
Okay. And I guess for this one, it's no-brainer to use reset stone on it, right? Since it's special inscription, stats are really low.
So that's tough because like now if you re-roll it, that one is worth re-rolling, but it's almost like if you're gonna re-roll that, you want to already have a like at least one, maybe two transmutation crystals set up and a bunch of transmutation stones. So once you go, you could get it done right away, right? Because if you do it, and it's not done right away, you could actually end up with like the same or like worse stats, right? Even though the stats are low, like you hit one that's like 3, and then like another one that's at 1.5, it's already better, right? But that one, I would actually like if you get to a point later down the road, you want to re-roll that one. Like I get the stats are low, but it's almost like to be able to prep to roll it, you have to have transmutation crystals and enough transmutation stones to get it done in one shot. I don't think it's worth it right now.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like overall I got to a point when I need to look to stats on most of my marches.
Yeah, like
so
in general,
now it will be really slow to progress in armaments, I think.
Yeah, so in general, once your stuff is mostly done, right, you're actually waiting for either a double inscription, special inscription, or like a rare inscription, and then you just want to replace that with the worst inscriptions that you have right now, and then you want to roll that up. But if it's already pretty good, I know that like the rainbow stats look annoying, but the getting the stat isn't as important as getting good inscriptions, and then especially the special inscription, which is like one of the biggest boosts you could get instantly, like when you get it versus like before, right? And then the rare is maybe like half as good, about maybe like 50 to 60% as good, but it's still really, really good, right? So, for example, like the ones where you have the double with the Guardian and the Resistant, that's one I would actually just kind of keep there. I wouldn't use the Transmutation Crystal on it. Just because like the double, it's a double, but it's not like a good double. Like you don't have two good regular inscriptions. It's like two mid inscriptions that when you add it together is okay, right? And then you already have 3.2% health. Like it's something where like if you're so far ahead, go for it. But if you're still kind of like saving up transmutation crystals and stones, like if you do it, it'll look better, but the actual upgrade you get wouldn't be that big. And then when you actually get one where you really want to roll, then now you don't have the resources to do it. That's kind of painful. So let me actually take a look at what we had earlier. So in general, like, okay, I have your armaments over right now. Armaments open. Here, let me actually share my screen again so you can look at this. Well, do you have any questions before I go over this?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, cool. Let me go over this then. So I'm going to end this, or can you end it? and then we'll go. I'll share again. Okay. So in general, right? First thing I actually look at when I see people's armaments isn't the stats down here. It's actually the number of inscriptions they have. Okay, so obviously if you look at the number of inscriptions you have, right? Ideally you have at least 4, and you have a double, you have more. This one is by far the weakest one, even though it looks like there's only one irrelevant stat, right? Like
Wait,
everyone.
I think I don't see a mouse now.
You don't see my the screen?
Yeah. I mean I see the screenshot, but not the mouse. Which one are you pointing at?
Okay, the one under Hua on the. Wait.
Oh, okay.
Oh wait, I know why. Because wait. Can you see the mouse now?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. Okay, so in general, right, even though this one probably has the cleanest, actually the infantry does, but like this one has like the one of the cleaner looking stats, it's really missing on armaments, right? So even if when you do get the 8 shards, you buy the balance. Okay, now it'll be balanced over here. The assertive over here, you have 2. Your priority is to actually try to upgrade your cav, your first cav armaments, and then what's on the first cav will actually move on to the second cav, right? So like instead of trying to upgrade something here, you actually want something that's better than something that's here, and then you can move what's here over, right? And like I think like a minimum to shoot for is like at least 4 solid inscriptions on every march, and then from there the actual like stats here, then you could try to clean that up. But getting good armament, good inscriptions should be the priority, just because like any one of these like decent ones, right, they're going to be at least as good as say like 3.5 attack, which would be a stat if you get for a stat, right? But like the inscription is just as good as the best stat you could get, or even better. So if you already have the inscription, then later down the road, if you want to roll to get the stats better, it's kind of worth it. Whereas like if the inscription is kind of trash or not that good, even if you get really good stats, the inscription on it actually caps how good it can be, right? So say for example, your wedge here, right? This one, I wouldn't touch it at all to even try to get these stats better, right? Like the only time you would actually touch this is if, you pull an infantry wedge, that's like a rare, a double, or special. Now it's worth it to actually roll it. Or else this is more than good enough. That makes sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I don't want to touch that one at all because it's wedge and the smite meta is moving more.
Yeah, but well, that too because of smite. But like in general, someone would be like, "Oh, I want 30% of stats," even though that all damage is worth like 2 to 3 times some of these stats, right? But they're like, "Oh, I could get this like 3% higher," right? Okay, fine, you get it 3% higher. That's not even one inscription here. If you just get an upgrade in inscription, naturally it'll already be a lot better, and then when you're rolling it, there's a lot more upside. So that's why like something like say like your archer here, right? Like ideally, okay, fine, you have 2 irrelevant stats, but you're just waiting for like a better double inscription or maybe even a rare to come around. Then you can replace this and clean this up. But if you try to clean this up now, like even though it'll look cleaner, you might feel better, especially if you have OCD. The actual upgrade you're getting isn't as big.
Yeah, I mean, for all of my armaments on Archer, I already used all my stones, so I would need to use crystals.
Yeah, so do you have any questions as far as, like, is there anything you should use your transmutation crystal on? Because I know you used up all of the one on this double. Was there anything where you were not sure?
I am planning to use all my stones right now on this one. I think it's still worth it. Its daring is 2.5 skill damage, I think, on my main cuff.
Okay. You want to show me again? Here, I want to show the screen again. Let me see.
Oh yeah, okay. I think it's easier.
Okay.
Wait.
Okay, let's see this again. Oh wait. Here we go. Okay. You're trying to do this one?
Yeah. This one is the one I'm working on right now.
Okay. So if I was gonna roll this one, right? I would actually only lock the attack and roll both of these.
Okay.
Okay. Right now, people are still not caught up, but I think there's actually going to get to a point, right? Once we get more KVKs, because you get 2 of these transmutation crystals per KVK, where people will actually have more and more transmutation crystals. Because like right now, this one is on your emblem. Go to the one on Hua really quick. Okay. Yeah, it's kind of the same idea, right? So for me, I would normally like this to be like about like 2.3 or higher, like for a stat. But if you think about it, it's only like 0.7 difference, right? Like, is it that big of a deal? Like, no. But I'm a little bit more aggressive, and then with the transmutation crystals, like I'm willing to take a shot, which is why the inscription is really important, because that's one that you're probably going to keep for a long time. Then you're willing to take a bigger risk and then work on it. But like for this one, to like spend like a second like 5 transmutation stones just to lock and keep 1.5% health, I would rather lock 1 and then roll the 2, and hopefully I get one of the cap stats much higher and then lock it. Right, so like my number usually is like 2.3 to 2.5, somewhere between there. That's what I would like to keep it. Like if I got a 2, usually I will keep re-rolling it. But I'm also very aggressive, right? So that's me personally. I think it kind of depends on like your personality with it. Some people just like it cleaner. Some people like to shoot for a little bit more upside. What I'm giving you, the strategy is to shoot for a little bit more upside. Okay, but in general, just think the inscription is what matters the most. If it's pretty good, you could always just kind of save your crystals and your stones until you could get a double, a rare, or a special, and then you could really go all in on it. Like 3 months ago, I wouldn't have recommended that because there was like different mechanisms. It was harder to get your armament in a decent place. But now you could get like a lot more transmutation stones per day or per week, where I think, you know, where you're 10, maybe be aggressive, go for it, but don't use the transmutation crystal on a average, well, definitely a below average inscription. You know, like save it for good inscriptions. Especially because you're not spending on armaments at all, right?
I have just that 7-day thingy.
Okay, yeah. So okay, you're spending a little bit. Some people just refuse to spend at all, which is crazy.
Yeah. This one.
Yeah. Okay.
I think it helped me a lot with the stones that I'm getting from the shop.
That's actually really, really good value, right? But some people just really hate armaments; they just don't want to spend on it. Yeah. Okay. Other than that, I think I covered everything you initially said. Was there anything I didn't cover or you had questions about?
No, I think that's all.
Yeah. I would say the biggest thing I'm interested, so I definitely keep in touch, is the KP thing. It actually helps if you kind of like keep track, right? If you look at, okay, when you have a lot of open field fighting, right, how much KP you're getting per hour, right? Because like if your commanders, your armaments, your equipment's getting better, that number should go up, right? Like, oh, okay, when there's good fighting, I'm getting I'm getting like 2.5 mil KP per hour, right? When I'm in the ruins, and there's good fighting there, I'm getting like 1 to 1.5 mil KP per hour. When you can start tracking that, get a sense of that, then like the KVK to KVK output, a lot of it depends on your fighting. But when you do get fighting, you kind of have a sense of like how well you're performing. I think that's like a better metric, right? A way to think about it is almost like a lot of times people focus on how much you weigh, right? Girls want to focus on how much I weigh. Well, a lot of it's like body weight, water weight, stuff like that. Whereas like if you're looking at your body fat percentage, right, that also gives like a different a view of what's actually going on instead of just looking at the body weight. So like I think KP per hour fighting, it's a little bit harder to track because you have to pay attention to it. But when you can actually track that, then you can actually tell, hey, from this KVK to this KVK to this KVK, I'm finding about the same level of competition, but my output per hour is actually better. And one of the biggest determining factors for that, for me, is like the TP spot. I get a good TP spot, and that's close to the fight, the output goes through the roof.
Yeah, I think this will be a like a big change for me now with in the new kingdom that might actually show me if
Yeah.
it was a kingdom issue or
Yeah, because like
something else.
1.2 KP per KVK is like really good. You know, like I don't know if it's like YouTube or something where like people like aren't happy with that now. Like that's actually really good. That's better. Like most.
I mean, like
Yeah.
I feel good about it. But it
Yeah.
just don't feel good because
You're not
I
improving.
do same for the last 3K cases. Really same.
It's all about the
Or I
same.
mean, like 100 mil KP more, just
Yeah.
it's almost nothing.
Yeah. No, I
Or
get.
adding one more marriage for stuff like that.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard to. I don't know. With one march, like right, because like you didn't find the same KVK one extra march. You found a different one. It's hard to tell for sure. But
Mhm.
if you have an extra march and it's trading positive, uh, your output compared to when you didn't have the march that's trading positive, the output is going to just be higher, even if the KP numbers don't necessarily reflect it. Which is why like KP per hour, I think when you kind of get a sense or a range of that, you'll probably notice, hey, with the extra march, right? I was getting 2 mil KP per hour. Now I'm getting like 2.5 mil KP per hour with the fight. Like, oh, okay, it is getting better, even though the KP number ended up about the same.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
Okay.
I also wanted to ask one more
Yeah.
quick question.
Yeah.
With City Skin,
Yeah.
when I run a 2-1, is it worth to keep using this one with 15% defense on infantry, or should I slowly start saving for the KVK one skill damage?
Well, if you do the math here, right? So if you're doing 5, right? So you're gaining 30% of defense from your 2 infantry marches, and then you're losing 10% attack on cav attack, and then 5% archer defense, right? So you're gaining 30% of defense, and you're losing 15% of stats, 10% defense, 10% attack, 5% defense. So you're gaining a net 15% defense. If I'm running like a normal, say like gingerbread house or something, right, where I get 5% infantry health, I'm getting 10% health. Then I'm losing. I want to say it's archer attack. It's either archer or cav attack, right? Then I'm losing like 5% attack.
I have to check.
So yeah, so regardless, this one, like stat wise, you're actually net 15%. Whereas if you do the gingerbread house, you're actually net 5%, even though the stat is a little bit better. So in general, I would actually say, like, if you're giving me that comparison for a gingerbread house, I would take the net 15% defense over the net 5% health. Right? It's like it's not 1-on-1, right? Like I think that the best one, like everyone would agree for open fields, the Dynastic Conqueror, right? But that's long gone. We can't get it now. But I would take that over the gingerbread house. I would for sure take that over the Twilight Falls. The Twilight Falls was already like kind of shaky for me before, but now that you have Smite Commander, so you literally have one march that doesn't really benefit from it, and then you're losing attack on infantry, which really benefits the most from Smite. To me, Twilight Falls is no longer worth it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was also the thing that I was thinking about, because slowly I will also have 2 marches with full smite. So
yeah.
It will benefit just 3 marches. Or maybe 4 if I add the 6th march at one point, but...
Yeah. Okay. Alright, other than that, anything else?
I think that's all.
Alright, man, cool. Look for this video probably tomorrow morning.
Okay.
Alright, and then if you have any other questions, just shoot me a DM. You have my friends now. Okay?
Alright, sure.
Alright, man.
Okay,
Alright,
thank
thank you
you
very much. Have a good day.
Bye.
All right.